Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here, again with another installment of my complete analysis of all of J.S. Bach's chorale harmonizations. Today we're looking at Was Gott tut, das ist wohlgetan, which translates to what God does that is done well. So all in all, this was a very straightforward chorale. This actually is the last movement of the cantata that I was asked to analyze for my exit exam. However, they had me look at the first movement, and they only gave me a couple of hours to look at it, so it was kind of like an impromptu analysis portion of my exit exam for my master's. I never had the opportunity to look at this chorale in particular, but all things considered, this chorale is pretty straightforward to analyze. Anyways, so let's take a look and see what's going on. So 2 flats in the key signature, we start on B flat, we end on B flat. I reckon we're in the key of B flat major. And we of course start off on the 1 chord. I say of course, but most of the time we start off on 1. Then we get a rotation of the voices, but we still have a B flat triad, B flat, D, F, and B flat. And then we continue into a progression that makes its way into a lot of Bach's chorales, at least as the first 3 chords we hear. We get A, C, F, and C, which is a 5-6 chord, F major over A, so we are going from our tonic to our dominant, and then we go right back to a B flat triad, B flat, F, and D, which is a tonic triad in root position. We then have G, B flat, and E, which is an E flat major triad over G, that's 4-6, and we also have a passing tone in the tenor. We then have D, B flat, and F. That's a tonic triad in first inversion, which then goes to F, C, A, and F, which is a 5 chord, and we have a delayed 7th going on in the melody before we cadence on 1, B flat, F, and D, which is a tonic triad in root position. That makes this not a perfect authentic cadence. It makes this an imperfect authentic cadence, as we have D in the melody, not B flat. However, the next cadence is a perfect authentic cadence in the key of B flat. So we have a little bit of antecedent consequent relationship between the phrases, right? We have a phrase that feels less conclusive because we don't end with the melody containing the tonic, and then something objectively more conclusive because we do have the tonic and the melody. Did I say the melody and the tonic? I meant the tonic and the melody the first time I said that. But anywho, we move immediately to an E flat major triad, E flat, B flat, E flat, and G. Big space between the alto and the soprano there, which is interesting. And then we have F, A, C, and F. We go 4 goes exactly where we expect it to a dominant chord. In this case 5 rather than 7. And then we get G, B flat, G, and E flat, so we get a deceptive progression here. 5 often does go to 4-6 in Bach's case, but then what we end up getting is an interesting, when we see a 4 chord go up to a tonic triad in the bass from 4-6, we usually get the leading tone somewhere, and it often fully spells a 7 chord, so we get A, C, G, and E flat, which is an A minor 7 flat 5, which is a 7 chord in root position, a 7-7, so we get that completed 4-7, and then 1 progression, B flat, D, F, and D, tonic triad in root position. Then he leaps down to A here, he leaps down to the 7th, which is interesting. The 7th of the chord, and also the 7th of the scale. We then have E flat, B flat, G, and E flat. We have lots of 4 going on, so B flat and E flat coinciding or succeeding one another quite frequently in this chord progression so far. And then we have F, B flat, F, and C. And what Bach often does is he often uses this suspension over the 5 chord before we cadence on 1, B flat, D, F, and B flat. This B flat being a 4-3 suspension over the bass, and then we get 3, the full chord realized on beat 2. Alright, looking ahead, we have what I hear as a perfect authentic cadence in the key of F major, but because we're getting a perfect authentic cadence in the key of the dominant, it does raise the question, is this a half cadence or is this a perfect authentic cadence? I hear perfect authentic because we pretty much do away with E flat entirely. In fact, the melody does a great deal to avoid E flat. In fact, in the second system, we get the entire scale except for E flat, and this descending fragment just sounds like F major. And the fact that it's relatively uncommon for us to get half cadences that have the tonic and the melody makes me feel like this is more so a perfect authentic cadence, but maybe there is an argument to the fact that this might be a half cadence. I'm sure you could back that argument up. We have a little bit of a descending progression here in the melody, or sorry, a descending sequence here in the melody. G, G, down a fifth, up a fourth, down a fifth. But the harmony doesn't quite do what you would expect it to, because down a fifth, up a fourth would be like the cycle of fifths, as if you were trying to cycle through the whole scale via diatonic fifths, but that's not what the harmony does. It's pretty interesting. So we get another one chord, B flat, D, B flat, and F. And then we get E flat, B flat, and G. There's our 4 chord again. E flat major in root position, passing 7th in the tenor. And then we get an E natural, so this chromatically ascending line. It's pretty interesting. We get E, C, C, and G with a passing 7th in the alto. That would be C major in first inversion, which is 5, 6 of 5, as C is the dominant of F, and F is our 5th, or it's our dominant. And then we have F, F, A, and C, so that's a root position F major triad. So 5 is going exactly where, or 5 of 5 is going exactly where we expect it to go. Okay, then we have E flat again, so a little bit of cross relations going on here. E flat, F, A, and C. So when we see E flat in the bass, all that changes is that this chord is now turned into a 7 chord, and the 7 happens to be in the bass. So no need to reiterate the Roman numeral. You could if you wanted to, but I just find myself changing the figured bass. And the figured bass is just 4-2, because E flat is the 7th of the chord, implying that we're in third inversion, and 4-2 is the figured bass for a third inversion 7th chord. Okay, moving on. We have D, F, B flat, and F. That is a B flat major triad in first inversion, which is 1-6. Passing tone in the tenor. The tenor's the most active line, and it's not even really that active in terms of Bach's chorales. We then have D, B flat, and F, so the same chord. No need to reanalyze. Actually, I take that back. We have an A flat here, which implies that this B flat is actually doing something different. It doesn't technically get revealed until the next beat, because we have a delayed 7th here, but this A flat changes the quality of the chord from tonic to dominant. So I'll go ahead and just say that this 1-6 chord now is actually 5-6 of 4, as that A flat makes this tonic feel more like a dominant of 4. Which in major keys we don't know it's functioning like a dominant until we see the 7th, because it's a major triad regardless of the 7th we have. But you might still mark this 1-6, depends on how you look at it. But regardless, it does go to 4, E flat, G, and B flat. It's a root position E flat major triad. And now we need to start looking for a point in which we modulate to F major, because we have E natural here. So I'm going to hedge my bets and say that this chord is the one we're modulating from. So here we have B flat, D, F, and B flat. So that's just another tonic triad in root position. And then we get one of the redundant Ds skipping down to B flat here in the tenor. So I have no problem saying that this is our common chord. B flat is now 4 in the key of F rather than being 1 in the key of B flat. So now we have C, G, E, and C. That's our dominant in root position in the key of F major. That's just a C major triad. We then have D, F, D, and B flat. That is a B flat major triad in first inversion, in other words 4-6. And notice how when we have 4-6, we have 6 in the bass, and when we ascend stepwise, to the 1, we get the leading tone. And sometimes we get a 7 chord, but in this case we don't. We have E, B flat, and D, so we have all the makings for it, but this F right here makes it not really analyzable. So this is really just a passing tone, but still hinting at the idea of a 7th. We pretty much always get the leading tone when we have a 4-6 going up to 1 in Bach's case. It's just something he does. And then we have F, F, C, and A. That's a tonic triad now that we're in the key of F, not a dominant. We skip up to A, which is a chord tone, and then we leap back down to B flat, G, D, and B flat. So that would be a G minor triad in first inversion, 2-6, passing 7th in the tenor. And then we have C, F, C, and G. Again, very similarly to what he does at the end of the second phrase. We get a 4-3 suspension over the bass. This is really just implying a 5 chord though, before we cadence on 1, F major. Now the last phrase is it ends in a perfect authentic cadence in the key of B flat, and because there's no chromaticism, I'll just say this perfect authentic cadence in the key of F is really functioning like just a more tonicized half cadence, and really this F is functioning like the dominant in the key of B flat too, and it does go to a B flat chord after the fact, so I think that this is a strong analysis. D, F, B flat, and F. That is B flat major, which is now our tonic again in first inversion. We then have G, G, B flat, and E flat, which is E flat major again in first inversion, so 1-6 going to 4-6. And notice how he's ascending stepwise again, so we're going to get that leading tone connecting the two notes. But here we actually get a complete chord, A, C, E flat, and G. Very similar to this progression right here, 4-6 going to 7-7 before we don't cadence, before we get a tonic triad, B flat, F, D, and D. B flat major in root position. We then get some more passing tones, and we do technically get a chord here. We get G, G, E flat, this is a B. B flat, G, E flat, and D. This would be a 4 chord, a 4-7 more specifically in second inversion, so that would be a 4-4-3. And the reason why I marked that is because the chord we get afterwards is a 5 chord, and 4 does want to go to 5, so I feel like there might have been a little intention there. F, A, F, and C. So it's there in parentheses if you want to include it in your own analysis. It is there, so I thought I would point it out. Passing 7th in the bass, D, B flat, F, and D. That's another tonic triad in first inversion. And then that tonic triad skips back down to root position on beat 4 and, before we get ready for our cadence, where we have this same cadential formula of the tenor getting a suspension that doesn't get resolved until beat 3. So this B flat, F, and C is a 4-3 suspension over the bass that gets resolved on beat 2, and then we cadence on our tonic, B flat, F, D, and B flat. So yeah, as you can see, it was pretty straightforward to analyze. There was nothing that was too ambiguous. Everything pretty much fell into place. I love chorales that are like that for that particular reason, because they're straightforward to analyze. And it's interesting to see everything working the way that it's supposed to, right? Supposed to. You can see the air quotes and the shadow that's cast on my paper. But all in all, it was cool to go back and look at the cantata a little bit. Reminded me of my week of exit exams. I was very fond of my master's program that I did, so it was a little nostalgic. But all in all, straightforward chorale. This would be a great chorale for a diatonic harmony class, for a chromatic harmony class. It's just a straightforward chorale without too many twists and turns. That's a real world example of harmony functioning with very little quirks. It's a very straightforward, I don't want to go as far to say plain, but it's a very effective and simple harmonization that uses mostly tonic, predominant, and dominant functioning chords. It's just in different permutations. We really only get 1, 4, and 5, save for a couple of passing 7 chords, and this 2 chord right here. So, cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed the analysis today. I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow's analysis. I do want to remind you, for those of you who are following the videos on a daily basis, next week is a very busy work week for me, so I'm going to try my best to upload every single day. I don't know what my energy level is going to be like, but the analyses are still going to be coming, so there's not really anything you have to worry about. They're just not going to be they're probably going to be uploaded later in the day. But that being said, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate the continued support of the channel, and I hope you take care.